Hey guys, so we've made our first color grade, but we've seen that sometimes if the scene changes quite drastically from, say, a morning indoor shot to an evening outdoor shot, maybe we want to push the colors a little bit. Like, for example, when they were outside, I wanted to add a little bit of orange and reds to have like a sort of sunsetty, golden, warmer feel than the morning inside feel. So guys, we want to check that we didn't push this different grade too far and that the shots are working, the film is working as a continuous sort of cinematic piece. So to do that, we need to check out some of the comparison tools. So let's head back to the color page. All right, so there's a couple of ways we can do this, guys, and they're all found up here in the top left. We can compare an image directly with another image by pressing split screen here. And then let's hit the arrow down here and go to selected clips. Now we put our clips on. Now I can select both of these with a control and we see them both side by side. So guys, I just control click that to select them both. And now I could hit clips to give me some space and maybe zoom in to 200. Now I can see both of these clips side by side. And I'm making edits to the one on the right, but I'm gonna undo that because it was good. And guys, we can see these clips are working really well together. Even though I've added a little bit more red to the outdoor scene, I'm very happy with the way these are looking together. They look really great. So I'm not bothered. But say, you know, we were over here, then we could say, oh, well, now I need to sort of dial that back. And you can just compare with the one on the right until you find the sweet spot. That's really nice. But having seen all that orange, I do feel like I can maybe warm it up a little bit. But maybe. I could go to about there without it breaking down or looking too different. What about gain it a little bit? Okay. Yeah, I think that sort of red, maybe without the gain and the gamma, was looking good. So yeah, that's how you can select the clips. Here we've also got an option you can play around. Look, we've got neighbor clips. So we've got all the clips that were around it. And guys, obviously I'm sort of not in an actual wedding film at the moment, but here at the start you see you have one clip, then another, and another. So I think we're highlighted here, look. So I can edit and just make sure it's still working with the neighboring clips. And all right, so that's one way of doing it. We're looking at the full images. Let's unclick that. And let's go back to one of the graded images that we were working on. Okay. So the second way of doing it is by somehow splitting the screen on the same image, and that we use the image wipe button here. So we can check out two side by side. And look guys, there's a bunch of options at the top. We can go up and down. We've got the diagonal. And one of the ones that I quite like is this one right at the end, checkerboard. And now you can really kind of see the colors against each other. You can't see so much of the image, but we're really just looking at the colors. So I find that quite useful. All right. So guys, just a little recap. We've got the first way with this button here, split screen. Remember, guys, if it's not showing up, remember to click on this arrow, because that's what's confused me in the past. Just to remember to click, oh look, this is how we get to selected clips. Here's the clips. Now we can see them side by side. You have to use this drop down arrow to get there. We've got neighbor clips, and then the different wipes are here. Okay guys, so a few ways there. I hope that helps, and I'll see you in the next film. Just a short one, but really useful. Hey guys, so in this video I want to introduce you to halation. Now back in the day when they were using film, you used to get an effect called halation where bright light would cause like sort of burning golden edge in the film itself. And nowadays we can add that digitally with an effect called halation in DaVinci. So what basically happens with halation is we can take the very brightest areas and add a little crispy golden glow, and it also adds, you know, a little bit of color to the image, mostly like gold and orangey tones. So it can be used really well in the right circumstances. It can totally ruin your image if you don't know how to apply it properly or you're using too much. But let's have a quick look at it now. All right, guys, so I wanted to show you this clip because I used the halation effect with a lot of power, and normally I don't, but you can really see it working. So there's a lot of very bright areas, like where the sun is hitting their hair. And this halation is just adding a golden shine to those areas, and it's adding some saturation to the whole image. And it's kind of bringing it to life. I mean, it's a joyful image here already. But with that halation, oh, that's reflection. With that halation, it's adding some life to the image for sure. Let's zoom in. So turn it off, turn it on. And guys, I may have not have done it quite as strong at the moment. If I was doing this again, I edited this at the start of the year, and I probably wouldn't have done it quite as powerfully now, I don't think. Although when you're zoomed out, it's not so obvious. When you're zoomed in, it does seem maybe a little bit too strong. But I think when you're zoomed out, it just looks, it does kind of look natural, like it was a magical moment, the sun was just hitting their hair, but it wasn't quite that magical, guys. But now I may have, you know, pulled the global blend down a little bit here and just sort of met in the middle somewhere. So I may have applied it a bit more like this, maybe a little bit more natural. So guys, let's go to another clip. Let's take these guys. So obviously this is a morning sort of shot. There's not so much sort of sunshine and there's not so much very bright areas. All we really see that's very bright is maybe here, which is sort of, I mean, the white here as well, but mainly there's some shine on her necklace here. And let's turn the halation on and off. And you can just see we're getting just along her arm and into this where it's very bright, we're getting a nice kind of golden glow. And this is much more subtle than the other one. So guys, I just want to show you how we got to this, how to apply halation and the attributes that you need to know. So let's just delete this. So there's no halation at all. Now I'm going to press Ctrl S to add a node from behind. Make sure you click on effects, type in halation. There it is. And now it comes up with a few attributes, and we can see it's ruined the image to begin with, like it's really much too strong. So let's have a look. I'm going to zoom into her arm. I'm going to turn my nose off because we don't need to see that right now. So guys, the threshold is where the areas that are going to be applied in terms of a sort of brightness. So if I pull the threshold up, it's reducing those areas. If I pull it down, it's increasing those areas. I do want it to hit her arm and the necklace and the her jewelry there, bracelet. Normalization, I think we want to keep that on full. It does keep it looking normal. Film saturation level, again, I think we want to keep that low. I don't want to necessarily add any saturation or not much to the skin, because we should have sort of got our saturation levels good in the initial color grade. Dye layer reflection. So this, we can try pulling that down a bit. This is sort of another way of applying strength, but just targeting the areas we've already hit with the threshold. So let's kind of zoom out just so we can see how it's looking. So guys, I don't want to make her arm look too unnaturally orange, of course. And putting it a bit lower is going to make it maybe look a little bit more natural. Gamma is sort of midtones that are being affected. Saturation, again, I don't want to add too much more saturation to the image. And then let's have a look at the spread. So let's go to 300. So the spread, if we pull it right down, the effect is more or less gone. Put it up, it's sort of becoming a bit too glowy. So I think it was right around there. Secondary glow, I don't think we need that. That's something else. Gonna be probably good for a sci-fi film, guys, if you're making it alien. Global adjustments, we've got some effects here: reduce highlights, aspect ratio, detail loss. Whoa, no, we don't want to blow our image like that. Then global blend just does everything, guys. So once we've sort of put it in, we can just use this global blend to play with it like that. Right, so let's go to fit. And now we can pull it down, and now we can pull it back up. All right, guys, so what I may suggest is maybe we add a little bit more strength. Pull the global blend back. So let's just try hitting that node on and off. So we're getting a nice sort of golden glow there. And that could be like a kind of standard level that you can apply to your whole film. And then if you do get a scene like the one before, like here, where we had that beautiful sunshine and we wanted to put more, you can just increase your global blend there. So guys, basically what we want to do is we want to build up a node tree that we can use for every single clip in the video. So I'm going to copy that. Let's go back to where we were. Let's rename that. So node label, halation. And I'm going to copy that, C, and then going to go across to my first wedding film. Let's go to fit. Okay, so let's add some halation. So I'm going to press Alt-S for a new node. And let's call that one halation. Now I can just edit paste and we pop that across. So we've put some halation into this image now. Let's turn it on and off. Turn it on. So let's add a bit of golden glow to these guys. I feel it might be a little bit too strong here, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit on the strength and maybe bring the global blend down. Let's put it too strong, pull it back. Okay. And then let's now look at the image we edited before here. Let's add another node here, Control S, and then press V to paste. So we've got the halation here. That's adding a very subtle sort of golden glow to the edges. I could try pushing it a little bit. That's much too strong, but pull it back. So yeah, let's just have a look at her hair. Turn it off, turn it on. We just see a little bit of gold going into her hair, which is quite nice. What if I change the threshold? Could lower the threshold a little bit. And I feel like, let's just see what that spread is like. Strength, maybe we could have a bit more strength. Turn it off and on again. So guys, what do you think? I mean, it's a very personal thing. That's it off. That's it on. I feel that might be a little bit too strong, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit. But I do quite like the effect. And I wonder about pulling the saturation, because it's affecting our skin a bit. Okay. So I'm quite happy at that level, I think. Let's turn it off. Yeah, that's looking good. It's very subtle, but it's very nice. So guys, if you want, you can just copy these down now and use that as a sort of basic guideline for your halation node. Feel free to use these exact figures, and then you can use the blend, global blend, to blast it if you want at some point. And I mean, it's looking quite cool blasted, I must say. So anyway, that's halation, guys. I hope that helps. I hope that shows you how you can apply it to your films. And remember, we're going to try and make that node tree that you can use for everything. So yeah, do keep it as a kind of subtle effect that you can boost if you want at some points. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to see you next in the glow video, and it's going to be a similar sort of situation there. See you soon. Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to utilize the noise reduction functionality in DaVinci Resolve. It's not the end of the world, guys. I know some people even like to add noise and film grain. I personally wouldn't add grain or noise to our video. I don't think we have to these days. I think, you know, a few years ago when cameras were a bit more simple and the resolution was a bit low, and we really wanted to push to try and make it look something a little bit more like film, then adding some grain was maybe a good idea back then. But I think today's cameras, especially for a wedding film, we don't really need to add noise, and actually it's quite good to get rid of it when we have the chance. So guys, let's have a look at noise reduction. So unfortunately this guy's trousers got a bit too dark and some noise was introduced. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And you can see it's quite noisy. All I have to do, guys, add a node, Shift S. In effects, just hit effects, hit the noise reduction, drag it onto your node, and it's applied. And guys, by default, it appears these temporal thresholds are quite low, so I don't know why they do that. Let's pump it up, and now you see the noise is gone. So guys, just remember to increase these luma and chroma thresholds and it should work fine. And let's call that node label noise reduction. I'm going to copy that and let's go back to, that's Alt S, and then I'm going to press V. Now I've included noise reduction. So guys, there wasn't really any noise in this image, so I'm just going to turn it off. But as I say, we're going to build out a node tree and then we're going to apply it to everything. And then when we do have a noisy image, all we have to do is then click it on and it's taking out any noise. Simple as that. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, so in the next few videos, we're going to be talking about tracking objects using power windows or other forms of tracking techniques and object removal. And basically selecting parts of the image to apply some extra exposure or some different color grades and, you know, make a more dynamic image. So before we jump in, I need to show you something called a parallel node. And basically whenever we're doing this sort of power window work, we want to be using parallel nodes. That enables us to apply the grades evenly across all the power windows that we work through. So I'm just going to show you like a very extreme example now. So guys, for now we've been using serial nodes like this, and they apply effects one after the other. And let's just take an extreme example here. So I'm going to add a node. And here I'm going to fully unsaturate the image. And here I want to try and add the saturation back to, but it's completely gone because in the previous node we took out all the color and now there's nothing to work with. All right guys, so if I just delete those, now if I add one and then add a parallel by pressing Alt and P, now we have our first parallel nodes. And you'll see this is just the mixing node here, parallel mixer. So here we're going to take the saturation all the way down, and now on this one, if I crank it up, I can bring it up. So it takes the information from the previous nodes and then splits it into two ways, and these are both equally mixed by the parallel mixer and fed to the next node. And guys, another benefit of working in parallel nodes is when we're using gradients from our objects, it just helps all those sort of blend in together nicely. So guys, basically the long and short of this is I recommend that you use parallel nodes when working with power windows. Try saying that fast. Now, so from the primaries, I'm going to press Option S to get a serial node, and I'm going to press Option P maybe 3 times. So we've got a few parallel nodes now. So guys, now that we've got those parallel nodes set up, we're going to move into the tracking and the power windows. So that's just a short introduction. See you in the next video.